Cause I fell in love with the dream. Cause I fell in love, I fell in love, I fell in love. They cooking dope in the kitchen, but I'm just a dope individual.
So, who are some of the people who influence you in your music, your sound?
Honestly, it's really a lot of people. When I think of the music that I grew up on, though, I think they had like the biggest influence. So I grew up on Mary Mary. I grew up on India Arie. Who else? My mom really likes oldies. So I grew up on a little bit of Whitney, Natalie Cole, different people like that. In like middle school, I guess that's when I started developing like my own sound. So I started taking after people like Molly Music.
Yahweh.
Yeah, when he was back in the Yahweh days.
Do you have like a favorite song? Not a favorite song at all?
I put songs in categories, so it's not possible for me to just have like a favorite song because I put them in a different spectrum.
Understanding the generation we live in now, we have people like Lecrae, and many times when he get awards and he accept the award, he say like I'm not a gospel artist, I'm just an artist. So like within your faith, do that cause like pressure for you to say I have to do this genre because I'm aligned with my faith like this, or like you don't feel any pressure at all?
No pressure whatsoever. None. And I say that because I had an experience when I was younger. I was actually in the middle of deciding what I want to write, like what kind of artist I would want to be. And I had people telling me like, well, you a Christian, you need to sing gospel music. What's the deal with that? But you need to decide. And then I'm like, well, that's not, my best music has never been gospel music, like just quality-wise. And so I was like, well, shoot, oh God, is it a disappointment if I like don't sing gospel music or Christian music, whatever? And I remember I was at home one day and I was in one room, my dad was in another, and I have a little makeshift makeshift studio in my basement. And so I would record like little songs and whatnot. And so one day I was in my room praying this prayer, I think, like, God, what music do I sing? And I kid you not, like as soon as I finished, my dad started playing one of my songs. And at that moment I was like, okay, cool. So type of music I write literally ranges from like R&B vibes, inspirational, like whether I'm just writing about a friendship that is a not so friendship anymore, or I'm writing about how I've never been in love, or I'm writing about me and God, going on a night ride around Leavenworth. Like it ranges from, like that's the spectrum. So I don't really have a genre, and I'm fine with that. At my core, I know that I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and that comes through with whatever I sing. But I don't write gospel music. I don't write R&B music. I just write whatever comes, and God is in all of that. Yeah.
So I know, as you're talking about the music, you just mentioned something about like love and relationships and love in general. Being a young woman, believing in God or living a Christian lifestyle, what would you tell every other young Christian person, who is either on the brink of loving someone, or who haven't found that person yet, or that artist who I guess think that they can't really write about that because they haven't experienced it?
So, to the artist, I would say that the most authentic work we can create is the work that is true about us and to us. Like, people can tell when you're being inauthentic in a song. Tons of like unsung stories or like documentaries about artists who started off as like child artists, and they would try to force these very adult songs on them, and they were like, I was on stage singing, but I was detached, because I have never experienced sex before, or like just different stuff like that. So I would say, tell your story. Whatever is true to you at the time, whatever you're going through authentically, put that in its rawest form in your music. And it would be a disservice to you, God, and the listener otherwise. And to the young Christian who's like, never been in love, or like on
the brink of love, or been in love, or they're afraid.
Being in love with anyone, or like the love that we have for our family, or romantic love, friendship type of love, it all stems from God, who is the epitome of love. Like, he is love. Like, that's what it says in the Bible. And so any other version of love is an extension of that. So before we fall head over heels for somebody, or before we like devote ourselves, I wouldn't even say before, but as we devote ourselves to other people's types of love, that needs to be the core. Like, that needs to be what we love first, is our relationship with God, because that's the rawest form. Anything else is like an extension or a copy of that. And so I wouldn't get too attached to the copy before I spend time with the original.
Well, how do you believe you're different from other artists who are coming up?
My soul is in this, period. Like, my parents have had discussions with me, like, telling me, eventually you're gonna have to start charging people, to sing different places. Because even right now, I don't look for payment. The feeling that I get when I'm singing, or, whatever I get to do in front of people, that's payment enough. And so, I could be just singing for the rest of my life, and honestly not get paid for it and still feel rich. And I just, I think that's what sets me apart, is that because my soul is in it, no amount of money is going to draw me into something or take me away from something, to the point where I lose myself. And I, like, obviously with God and the right people around me and different stuff like that, that won't happen. But yeah, for the people who are just in it for the glitz and the glam, that is really a facade anyway. Like, any celebrity will tell you that. I would just say my everything is in music, to the point where I don't need the extra to come along with it to feel like I've benefited from it.
I understand you talked about your soul being into this, and knowing that you go to a HBCU. How do your music or your art speak to the souls of Black folk everywhere?
The first word that comes to mind is Africa. I know that's very like AUC, whatever. But I just think of the rhythmic people that we are, the fact that everything in African culture, if I'm not mistaken, like some sort of music is involved in it. When someone dies, drums are played, or just different things like that. When there's a wedding, there's different instruments and people dancing and stuff like that. So like every facet of life, I think there may even be something when like babies are born, something is played. Like, so every event in life has music embedded into it. And I think that tie between life and music, and the fact that as Black people, we've never separated the two, which is why we have stuff like rap and rock and R&B, is because we understand that life experience and sound and instruments and music can't be separated. I think that's in me venturing out to do music, or anyone venturing out to do music in the African American community, is celebrating that refusal to separate life experience and music.
You're dope. So I know that you're a busy woman and you have a lot to do. And it's been so great, so amazing. If there's one thing that you could leave with everyone watching this video, everyone who would look inside of the magazine and see your picture and your conversation right there, what would be one thing you would leave with them? One word.
One word.
Well, not an actual word, but like one.
Oh,
thing. One word,
okay.
One phrase. Message. One message.
One message. That life is not a struggle to find yourself or find out what you have to do. Life is the struggle to allow God to show you who you are. And to take the responsibility off of yourself to find out who you are, because you already have something laid out for you. And that if life is a movie and you're the actor, the only way to properly play your role is to consult the director. That's something I really live by. So take stress off yourself and stop trying to figure everything out, and just spend time with God and be like, yo, why you create me? Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you want to give them a snippet or a little small song or something, whatever you want to do. Give us a little freestyle or.
Okay. Thank you for music. I thank you for everything you've given us to be connected to you. I thank you for music. I thank you for everything that you've given us to be connected to you.
And that is a wrap. Chancia Fairley, Spelman College.
Yeah.